Hey guys, in this video today we're going to go from this type of squat to this type of squat. Hey guys, John here from JK Conditioning, and I've been a personal trainer for 15 years. In this video today, I'm pairing up with Podium Runner, and what we're going to look at is we're going to look at 3 tips that I give to all of my running clients when I'm teaching them how to do a bilateral squat. Tip number 1. This has to do with the feet and the knees. When you're squatting, keep your heels flat on the floor and keep your knees in line with the middle toe throughout the squat. There's a tendency in the squats that when you stand up, the knees are going to want to cave in. So we call this valgus collapse. So what happens here is that when you stand, when you push down, the knees want to cave in if you're not aware of keeping the knees in line with that middle toe. So this happens at the hips. So what you have to do, there's a coaching cue that we give called spread the floor. So what you want to do is pretend the floor is paper and you're going to push your feet sideways to rip that piece of paper. What that does is it actually activates the glutes, so the muscles on the side of the hips, to keep the knees from caving in. So the cue of spread the floor can help keep the knees in line with that middle toe. So in addition to keeping the knees in line with that third toe, we also don't want the heels to lift up. So if you squat and you notice that your heels lift when you sit, it just means that you're shifting a lot of weight forward, obviously because your heels are in the air. And what happens there is that the whole body kind of shifts forward. So the knees obviously go with that shift forward. And sometimes that puts a lot of unwanted stress through the knee joint and the knee tendons. So if you have knee pain, this might be something that's happening to you. So when you're squatting, you want to keep your heels flat on the floor, and a great way to learn this is the zombie squat with a 5 to 10 pound weight plate. So what you want to do here is stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, and usually for runners I get them to turn their feet about 5 degrees out. So what you have to do then, your knees also have to go 5 degrees out so that they align right with that third toe. So what I would get you to do here is to hold a weight plate out like a zombie, arms out like that, right? So when you're sitting, that weight will act as a counterbalance for you to learn your front to back balance at the bottom of the squat. This is very important because it's going to determine if you load your target muscles correctly, so the quads, the glutes, bit of the groin, bit of the hamstrings, or if you're going to load your joints and the tendons and ligaments in those joints, which we don't want to do. This leads me to point number 2, or tip number 2, which is don't let your spine shape change throughout the range of motion of your squat. When I've taught a runner how to squat, typically what they'll show me when I just say, okay, show me your best squat without coaching them, they show me a partial range of motion squat, or they sit all the way down and their spine shape rounds. So what we want to do, we actually want to maintain what we call spine neutrality. So what that means is we maintain a neutral spine position as we fold through the hip, the knees, and the ankle to allow our bodies to go into a sitting posture. Having that weight held out in front when you sit, allow your torso to lean forward just enough to maintain front to back balance. So this will be more achievable with that weight held out. While you're in that bottom position, I want you to feel like you're bracing your abs a little bit and you're allowing the lean to happen so that you can find your balance point. You can find your center. So the range of motion, the ideal range of motion that I want my runners to squat down to is either a thigh parallel position. So we look at the top of the thigh. So at the bottom of the squat, if your thigh is at parallel and you don't have any knee pain, then I would say make all your squats look like that. If you can go a teeny bit lower, where you have the hip crease go below the top of the knee, we would call that a below parallel squat. So what we do here, with either of those range of motion, we're gonna get a good inclusion of the glutes and a good challenge to the quad through that range of motion that we know we'll get the most benefit from, only if it doesn't cause any knee pain. And lastly, tip number 3 that I give all my runners when they're learning bilateral squats is front load your squats. So what this means is that you're gonna hold a weight in the front of your body, because what I've noticed is that runners are better able to maintain their spine shape and they're better able to get their core involved to support the shape of their back while they squat versus runners who do back-loaded squats. Back-loading, what that means is that you have a bar or a weight on your back versus the front. So traditionally speaking, you might be more familiar with a back squat versus a front squat. But that doesn't mean you have to do that version of a squat to reap the benefits from the squat exercise. What I've noticed is that when runners backload their squats, they're not able to maintain a good spine shape, and their form, they don't fold properly through their joints, and it kind of causes more knee pain, and the biomechanics just, they're not right. So what I do is I just change it to a front-loaded squat, and this usually cleans all of that up. Front-loaded squat can look like a goblet squat, so you could have a weight held vertically in front of your body like this. You could have a kettlebell held in the front of your body like this, and what you would do is you would brace your abs and then squat down with the form we talked about earlier to find that balance point at the bottom. And again, I think you'll find a better ability to have that ideal kind of lean in that ideal front to back balance position, and then you'll also find it easier to hit a proper depth. So either thigh parallel or thigh just below parallel. Two other ways to front load your squat can look like this. You can have a barbell across your shoulders, the front of the body. So you could do what's called a front squat or a front barbell squat. So with runners, what I've typically noticed is that a zombie position is the best way to learn this type of squat. So you'd put the bar across your shoulders like this, and then cross each hand across the opposite shoulder to support it and keep it there. And the other way to do a front loaded squat is to use the angled barbell. So if you have access to a barbell, what you can do is you can put one end of the barbell against your rack or against something that's metal. You don't want to put it against your drywall, because that's just going to slowly eat away at your baseboard. But with a angled barbell attachment, or what used to be called a landmine attachment, you can load one end of the bar, pick up that bar, and then put it in front of your body, holding it kind of like you would a dumbbell in the goblet position, and then brace your abs and then go through the range of motion that we've already discussed. So those are the 3 tips that I give all my new runners when I'm trying to teach them how to do a bilateral squat. 1, keep your heels flat and your knees in line with your middle toe. 2, don't let your spine shape change throughout whatever range of motion you're squatting through. And 3, front load your squat to have a better ability to achieve the ideal shape that we've already discussed in this video. Well, that's the video, guys. Thanks for watching. If this is your first time here, we make videos to improve your workouts. So subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all our latest fitness videos to help you become a stronger runner. We'll see you in the next video.